So you want to start a drone business. Is that really a good idea? Well, stick around and I'll give you my thoughts on the matter. Now, this is going to be kind of a high-level overview, but there's a saying out there I think is appropriate for entrepreneurs. The definition of an entrepreneur is a person who's willing to work 100 hours a week for themselves versus working 40 hours a week for someone else. And I think that's very appropriate. Just like any other business, this takes work. You can't expect this business to come to you. Now, the first thing you need to decide is what is your niche? You can't go after everything. So what am I going to concentrate on in my drone business? You may have heard the term SWOT analysis. It's very appropriate for any business. SWOT means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you need to analyze everything around you and what makes most sense. Let's take, for example, you want to start a real estate photography business. First, look around in your town. Are there 25 or 30 other companies doing that? If so, then it's probably not a good idea for you. But if there's only one or two, then it may make sense. So that's how you could define your niche. Now let's talk about some of the different niches you can look at. Of course, the first one that comes to mind is real estate. This market's highly competitive. Anybody with a drone can take pictures, and it's really hard to stand out there. But the one way you can stand out is to go after high-end homes, $1 million and better. The reason for that is if you can tell a story with your video, that will sell. I'm sure you've seen videos on YouTube where they reveal the big property, fly through the gates, up over the trees, any number of things to make it dramatic. But when you do that, you have to have another skill set. Not only do you have to be able to fly your drone well, you need to fully understand the camera and have editing skills so you can put this together in a story with good background music and sell it to the client. Construction is another good area. Construction monitoring, I see a lot of projects like that, where they will hire a drone pilot to take photos or videos once a week, once a month, once a day, whatever is required for their construction schedule, to show how construction is progressing on their project. Inspection services, a number of things there. Cell towers, solar farms, power lines, pipelines, homes, any number of things require inspection. In fact, a funny one came up the other day. Universal Studios in Orlando was looking for a drone pilot who could photograph bolt patterns on one of the water slides. Now that's pretty unique. Could have been a cool job to be involved in. If you really want a niche, you may consider thermal. Home inspections for water intrusion, solar panels for thermal. A lot of good uses for thermal these days. Agriculture is an up-and-coming business. Farmers want to use it to look at plant health, dry spots, under-fertilized spots, plant counts, things like that. But that does require specialized software for your drone, and that's something else you'll have to factor into your cost and your learning. How about filmmaking? I saw a YouTuber the other day advertise for a drone pilot, and he wanted that person to follow him around to different venues to film whatever he was doing so he could post it on YouTube. That's kind of interesting. Then there's weddings. Let's say you're already a wedding photographer. Adding a drone to your business might be a good idea. Now, weddings are the last thing I want to do, but it may be of interest to you. Then, of course, there's surveying and mapping. That's one of the original uses for drones. Here again, needs specialized software, specialized training, and specialized drones, but it is an opportunity. Now, one that's kind of bizarre is drone repair. With all the millions of drones out there, I'm sure they get crashed all the time, and somebody needs to repair them. Now, that's pretty easy for companies like Hubsan in the toy drone market. You can find spare parts on Amazon for them. But if you want to get into the DJI market, I'm not sure how easy it would be to get parts. Maybe something you need to research. If that's a hurdle you can pass, maybe an opportunity for you. Now, what about business structure? A couple of good resources for you here, both the SBA and SCORE chapters. SBA is a small business association, helps small businesses get started, gives them free or low-cost training, good resource that I've used in the past. And then there's SCORE. That's a group of retired executives that provide mentorship to you and give you guidelines on how to grow your business. I'm sure there's some of those in your area, and they're worth checking out. What kind of business structure? Well, that's kind of between you and your tax guy, but I think most people these days are going with LLCs. Then you need to decide on a name. Once you decide on the name of your company, go to the Secretary of State, do a name search, and see if that name's available. Now, of course, you're going to want a website. And to get a website, you need a URL. And you need some sort of name that relates to your company. Let me give you a tip on that one. Once you decide on a group of 2 or 3 different options, go to your hosting site, see if they're available. But if they're available, pick one right then, lock it in, pay for it, register it, and be done. And the reason I say that is years ago I was setting up a company, and I had 3 or 4 options for URLs. They were all available. I couldn't make up my mind, so I said, well, I'll be back in a few days to pick one. Well, when I came back, they were no longer available. And guess what? About a week later, I started getting emails from a company that wanted to sell me that name because they owned it, of course at an elevated price. So take my advice, lock it in as soon as you know that's the one you want. Now, after you set up your website and deal with all the SEO issues and things like that, a lot of that's going to be budget driven. Do I set the website up myself? Do I handle SEO myself? Or do I farm it out? Depends on how much money you have. But do the website first. And even though you wanted to get into social media like Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and all the others, leave those for a little later down the road. That way you can spend more time on the important things right now. Then, of course, we need to talk about insurance and licensing. Insurance is mandatory in any business. Liability insurance, maybe hull insurance to cover your drone. There's even something new out these days I learned from an attorney a few weeks ago. It's called defamation insurance. So if you inadvertently catch somebody sunbathing in their backyard, upload it to YouTube, and they sue you, you're protected from that. Licensing, make sure you get your Part 107. I actually had a home inspector call me the other day and argue with me about the fact he did not need a Part 107 license because he was just taking roof pictures. But that's part of the business, and of course that's up to him as how he wants to handle that. Now, of course, equipment. We could spend a whole vlog on that. There's everything in the world to choose from the Mavic Mini to the Matrice series. There's the French company Parrot. There's Skydio, Autel, a lot of options out there. And that takes research on what you need, what your desires are, and what data you want. Don't forget all the spares you need, batteries and cases and iPads or Android tablets. Lots of things add up real quickly there. Maybe software, editing software. Now, of course, we're fortunate to have an Inspire 2, which is one of the bigger professional drones there. And I like to tell people I'm happy to sell the job with the Inspire because it looks impressive, but actually do it with the Mavic 2 Pro. Now, in order to sell a job, you need a portfolio. So the best thing to do is get out there and start filming. Do pro bono work. Contact your local church or local broker or somebody. Offer to do this kind of stuff for free so that you can get some stuff built up to show other potential paying clients. You need to make sure you got good skills both in flying, handling your camera, editing skills, and so on. So how do I go about getting work? Well, there's lots of ways of promoting it. Email is still one of the best ways of doing it. Get a good email list started by having a subscribe button on your website. Go to your friends on Facebook. Any way to get valid emails to start promoting your business. Consider issuing a press release and send it to some of the online magazines. That's the way I started, and that seemed to get me a lot of traction to begin with. Then, of course, you can pound the pavement. But, of course, these days with the pandemic, it's harder and harder to see people in person. So, back up and try the telephone. Problem with the telephone is you always run into gatekeepers, and they're going to keep you from getting to the person you want. But get creative. Go to Google search. Look for the owner of a business. See if you can find his email address. Send him a direct email. That way you can get one-on-one contact with somebody. Now, as far as pricing goes, keep it simple. I know you like to bill hourly or daily or something to guarantee your profitability, but a client's want to see a job price. So if you can do it, quote based on the entire job. Then, of course, remember this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take time, effort, work, and patience. But the bottom line, is it worth it? Oh, absolutely. And one of the best feelings I can tell you is when you're sitting down somewhere, lunch, dinner, on the road, and your phone rings, and you get a notification, and that notification says your first customer has just placed an order. It doesn't get any better than that. But remember, do this because you want to do it, because you have a passion for it, not because you want to make money. If you do it for the right reasons, the money will come. I hope you're enjoying these vlogs, and if you are, please hit the subscribe button. That way I can let you know when future videos come out. My plan is to do it every Tuesday, but I could do it more often too. And if you feel like it, share it with your friends too. That would be greatly appreciated. Each week, I'll end this vlog with a drone video or picture. Here's this week's video. And thank you for watching.